Your skull is carrying the weirdest machine on Earth. It runs your whole life on about as much power as a dim light bulb. It rewrites your memories while you think you're replaying them. It edits your vision before you notice anything missing. It keeps working even when you're fully asleep. And yes, the organ that detects pain can't feel pain itself. Your moods, choices, habits, and late-night overthinking all start here. By the end, your own brain will feel way less ordinary. Some of these facts sound fake. None of them are. And the last one might be the most important for your life. So let's open the control room. At number 15, your adult brain is about 73% water. That means dehydration doesn't just make your body grumpy, it can also make thinking feel slower and fuzzier. Even small shifts in hydration can nudge attention, memory, and mood in annoying directions. Brains are so water-heavy that even mild dehydration can feel like someone quietly dimmed your mental lights. So when your brain feels like a browser with 40 tabs open, water deserves some credit. And that gentle warm-up is nothing, because the next fact is a full-on energy flex. Despite weighing only about 3 pounds, your brain burns around 20% of your body's energy at rest. That's wild because it makes up only a small slice of your total body weight. Most of that energy pays for signaling, with brain cells constantly passing electrical messages back and forth. That giant appetite is why interruptions to blood flow can hurt brain cells fast. This organ hates missing deliveries. Even when you're staring into space, the system is still humming like a city that never sleeps. And now that the lights are on, let's talk about how many cells are inside this place. Scientists estimate the human brain contains about 86 billion nerve cells, also called neurons. Each neuron is a specialist with one main job: send information onward at exactly the right moment. Different regions pack those cells into circuits for movement, language, memory, motion, and way too much overthinking. And no, they are not all identical. Different neuron types behave like different instruments in the same orchestra. Your thoughts feel smooth, but underneath, a truly ridiculous number of cells are coordinating the performance. And here's where it gets bigger, because those neurons are definitely not working one-on-one. A single neuron can connect with thousands of other neurons through tiny junctions called synapses. That creates a web so massive, it makes a roadmap look cute. Learning, remembering, and reacting all depend on which of those connections get stronger or weaker. The strength of those tiny links helps decide what becomes automatic, what stays awkward, and what vanishes completely. So when you forget a name but remember a theme song from 2009, blame the network. And the speed of that network is the next part that feels almost unfair. Some nerve signals race along myelinated axons at up to about 150 meters per second. That's over 300 miles an hour, inside tissue that looks nothing like a racetrack. Myelin works like insulation, stopping electrical current from leaking and helping signals jump node to node. Without myelin, messages slow down, leak energy, and arrive less cleanly, which is exactly why myelin loss causes trouble. This jumping style is called saltatory conduction, which sounds fancy because it absolutely is. But speed is only half the magic, because sometimes the brain's smartest trick is editing reality. At number 10, the brain tissue itself does not feel pain the way your skin does. That's why certain brain surgeries can happen while a patient is awake and answering questions. Your scalp, skull, and surrounding tissues can hurt plenty. The brain tissue in the middle is the weird exception. Doctors use that awake feedback to protect speech, movement, and vision during delicate procedures. So the organ that lets you say ouch cannot actually feel an ouch of its own. And somehow the next fact is even stranger, because your brain works hardest when you think it rests. Your brain does not shut off at night. It stays busy and uses roughly similar baseline energy. During sleep, fluid moves through the brain more freely in a cleanup system called the glymphatic system. Researchers found this system helps wash away waste, including beta amyloid, a protein linked to Alzheimer's disease. So the nights you skip sleep are not just tiring. They also cut into your brain's cleanup schedule. So sleep is not you turning off, it's more like your brain running overnight maintenance. And that invisible housekeeping leads perfectly into the next visual lie your brain tells you. Every eye has a blind spot where the optic nerve leaves the retina. You usually never notice it because your brain fills in the missing patch automatically. It borrows clues from the surrounding colors, lines, and patterns to fake a seamless picture. That is why a disappearing dot can vanish completely in simple experiments, while your world still looks solid. So your everyday vision is not raw footage. It's a smart edit delivered in real time. But wait, because vision gets even wilder once you see how much brain real estate it gets. About 30 cortical areas participate in visual processing, which is a huge amount of brain territory. That helps explain why sight feels rich, fast, and ridiculously detailed most of the time. Your brain is not just receiving images, it is comparing motion, color, edges, depth, and meaning. No wonder visual illusions fool you so easily. They exploit shortcuts inside a system built to predict fast. In other words, seeing is less like opening a window and more like running a studio. And once perception enters the chat, memory starts doing its own sneaky tricks. When you recall a memory, it can become temporarily changeable again before being stored once more. Scientists call that reconsolidation, and it means memory behaves more like rewriting than replaying. Each retelling can strengthen certain details, soften others, or let new context slip in. That is part of why eyewitness memory can feel confident and still drift away from the original event. So your favorite childhood story may be honest, but it may not be perfectly original anymore. And the next myth your brain needs to clear up has probably been living in school posters forever. The idea that you are strictly left-brained or right-brained is mostly a myth. Yes, some functions lean more to one side, but personality is not split that neatly. Brain scans do not support the cartoon version where logic lives left and creativity lives right. So if you love spreadsheets and drawing dragons, congratulations, your whole brain is involved. And now this gets personal, because your brain is still under construction longer than most people think. Your brain keeps developing and maturing into the mid to late 20s. One of the last major areas to finish is the prefrontal cortex behind your forehead. That region helps with planning, prioritizing, impulse control, and those maybe don't do that decisions. So being young is not just chaos. It is a period of heavy remodeling with huge potential upside. The upside is that the developing brain is also especially ready to learn and adapt. And this is where it gets ridiculously efficient, because growth includes deleting things on purpose. Your brain strengthens useful connections and trims weaker ones in a process called synaptic pruning. Think of it as biological spring cleaning with way higher stakes than your junk drawer. Pruning helps sharpen focus, support learning, and make important pathways work more efficiently. In early life, the brain builds extra connections, then keeps the ones experience uses most. And if that sounds harsh, the final two facts turn it into something surprisingly hopeful. True multitasking is mostly a myth. Your brain usually switches between tasks instead of doing them at once. Every switch costs time and focus, because the mind has to disengage, then reorient. Busy and effective are not the same thing, and your brain notices the difference long before your to-do list does. That's why texting, listening, and pretending to work can feel busy but produce suspiciously little progress. Your brain is powerful, but it is not thrilled when you make it juggle nonsense. And now for my favorite part, because this last fact means your brain is never really finished. Your brain can change itself through experience, and that ability is called neuroplasticity. Learning something new can strengthen connections, weaken others, and reorganize pathways over time. Practice matters because repetition tells the brain which circuits deserve better wiring. That means you are not stuck with the exact brain patterns you had yesterday. And honestly, that might be the most mind-blowing fact here, because it turns change into biology. Every skill you build, every habit you repeat, and every challenge you survive leaves some trace in the system. So the brain you've been using to hear these facts has already been slightly changed by hearing them. If one of these facts completely scrambled your perspective, hold on to that feeling. That's curiosity doing its job. And if you want more true weirdness like this, there's a whole rabbit hole waiting in the next Zorp Facts episode. Pick the fact that shocked you most, share with someone smart, and I'll meet you in the next one.